I'd like to clear up, and I'm sure you can see the scene. It says Belmont College. We're undergoing a name change. We still offer the same things that we have before, but the college decided to take the technical out of its name, in large part because of the historic associations with the term, and the name Belmont College better reflects ultimately what we're trying to do. I'm going to take a little bit of time and just take you through what our program is and what we have to offer, and be glad, like Devin said, be glad to take some questions at the end. First, to show you a little bit about our demographics, it's usually a question that people ask. We're about a 50-50 split in terms of male and female, and about a third of our students already have a bachelor's degree when they attend. Some even have master's degrees. About 2 years ago, we had one class that had a doctor, a medical doctor, a CPA, and an attorney all in the same class. So it does vary dramatically. About a third of our students are right out of high school, and the other third usually are made up of students who have had some college, but or retraining workers, things like that. They come from all over the United States. We've currently, when this slide was produced, they were from 38 states and Puerto Rico, and I think since then we've probably added 4 or 5 more states to that list. The curriculum is made out of broken down into 5 major components. We are known for our hands-on. Probably 65 to 70% of your time in class will actually be doing things here at Belmont. We're also known, though, for the academic side of our programs. And as you can see here, we offer 5 major components: history and theory, documentation, research and pathology, construction materials and methods, material science, and field experience. I'll take you through each one. We're changing the semesters. If you're in Ohio and you're listening to this, all colleges in Ohio, beginning in the fall of 2012, will make the transition from quarter system, those that were still on quarters, to semesters. And so this is going to be a first-time run for us on semesters. We've consolidated a little bit and had the opportunity really to look over our curriculum again, and we're very excited about what we have to offer. Our history and theory component is made up of 3 classes: Intro to Historic Preservation, History of American Architecture 1, and History of American Architecture 2. And we take the history and theory part very, very seriously in here, and I think one of the comments that have come back to me in years past is that one of the advantages our students have over some of the other like carpentry students and masonry students coming from some of the other classes, other programs across the country, is that our students really understand historic preservation, and that makes them very valuable as far as employees are concerned. And we take, for our History of American Architecture students, we offer a summer class, which is an architectural field trip. Last summer, these are pictures from last summer, we went to Boston. So the students not only talk about historic architecture, but they get to feel what it's like to sit in a 1700s pew and really, get to experience the buildings, not just talk about them and look at them in terms of slides. This is at the Boston Public Library. For some of our students, especially the local high school kids, it was the first time for many of them that they actually got outside the Ohio Valley, and so very special. And we've gone to Chicago, Savannah, Washington, D.C. We let the students decide where they want to go, and we take about a 4 or 5 day trip every summer. The second component is our documentation, research, and pathology component. Now, most graduate schools and even most of the undergraduate schools have a documentation and research component. In fact, that usually is the major component of their graduate and undergraduate programs. We also add to that a pathology component, and this is really where I think we stand out, is the technical side. Students will take classes in architectural drafting and design. They'll also do a historic research and field technique, so they do know how to do a National Register nomination when they're done. They've gone through the process of doing surveys. But we spend a lot of time understanding the chemistry of why materials deteriorate and why building systems and building materials fail, and then look at the the current practice in terms of how to repair these things and being able to critically think through like a doctor would and be able to identify what the core problem is and offer suggestions in terms of how to fix it. In the past, our students have done things like historic structures reports. This is our feasibility study that we did for the Belmont County Sheriff's residence and follow-up for the Belmont County Jail. I'm quite proud to announce that the Sheriff's residence, after a 10-year fight, has been saved and will currently undergo restoration this summer. And a lot of it has to stem from the work that the students did literally almost 10 years ago. We also we do a historic house specialist series for realtors many years ago. And this was the building pathology package that we put together for them. This is a picture of students did some research work on the National Road. They actually did the research on the section that they did and then actually dug it up. It was buried, and they uncovered it for the community in Morristown. The third area is the construction materials and methods. These are you kind of have to know a little bit about construction before you can begin to talk about historic preservation. So we have a course that's kind of an intro course that goes over materials and methods. And then we have some electives in terms of mechanical systems, roofing and flooring, windows and doors, and then a construction management and estimating class that everybody has to take. The windows and doors class, for example, these are windows that we pulled out of actually out of an outhouse, believe it or not, up in Deerfield, up in Harrison County. And that's what it looked like when we started, and that's kind of what it looked like when we were in the process of finishing them up and putting them back. We actually spent the summer, I'll show you a picture a little bit later, we spent the summer restoring that double multi-seat outhouse for a church up in Deerfield. And the fourth and probably the most popular areas in our curriculum are the material sciences, where building pathology we talk about all the different materials. In material science class, we actually delve deeper into each of the materials and do a series of projects specifically relating to those materials. In the semester system, there'll be individual courses in both in wood, plaster and composition molding, metals, masonry and ceramics, stained glass, and decorative finishes. Examples of some of the things that are done in the masonry class. Students do a stone carving, as you see here. Some more examples from last quarter of the stone carvings that students did. Decorative finishes class, we learn a variety of different decorative finishes. We have an adjunct professor who practices over in Wheeling, West Virginia as a painter, decorative painter. And, oops, I thought I had something else in there. Ironworking, Jeff Forster, who's a local blacksmith in Wheeling, teaches our ironworking class. Certainly woodworking, making reproduction balusters, doing wood carving. Students do occasionally will bring in projects to work on their own or as a kind of a capstone project. This was a furniture refinishing project that was done. This was obviously constructed from scratch. Ceramics, students make their own ceramic tiles. They learn different methods to do that and some examples of some of the tiles that students produced. Plaster class, you learn how to do some models and mold making, how to run your own medallions, as shown here. Here's a student finishing one up, final details. These are from their own design. We do repair work. This is actually a medallion, ceiling medallion out of the Davis Shea House in Heath, Ohio, that we got in a box, a bunch of broken pieces with the plaster ceiling still attached, and we were able to soak the pieces in water to remove the paint, and we got the old plaster off. Used modeling clay to model in the missing components, made rubber molds from them, and then recast the pieces, and we just made an extra one for ourselves. Stained glass class, students do a series of stained glass panels. This is one of the early simple plant panels that they do to learn the trade, and then an example of a stained glass project fitting for Ohio, the Wright brothers plane, that a student basically designed and did himself. There's a picture of a student. We had this was at a show that we did at WVU in Morgantown that the students arranged for and put on for themselves. This is another student's final project. It's a Frank Lloyd Wright. He did one of these panels for stained glass class and did the other two and the wooden frames for his capstone project. The fifth major component is the field experience. Brian Blundell once said that there's really three components involved in learning the trades. There's the academic side, where you learn the do's and the don'ts, literally from books and from past experiences. There's a technical side where you learn how to do a specific thing. It's one thing to read about it in a book. It's another thing to actually do it. And the technical side of education is where you really learn how to do it. And then there's the experiential side, where you go out there and you do it 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 until you get actually pretty good at it. And we do a lot of experiential type of learning here at the college. We do students are required to do 2 field labs on their second year. They'll be basically all day Fridays. And then in the summer, either between their 2 years or at the end of their program here, to do a community field lab, where the field lab project is focused on a variety of different types of community-based projects. And then eventually the capstone is a course that they kind of design themselves to do a specific project that they're interested in. These are examples of our field lab house that we own down in Morristown, Ohio. The students work on. It's a linear construction project, so whatever's going on at that time, that's what the students get experience on at the house. In the upper left, you can see students working on some structural stabilization that was going on very early in the history of the house. Today, if you go down there, there's doing a lot of plaster work. I've already put the electrical in. They've already run the plumbing, and they're getting their hands full of doing plaster work. It's kind of there's a close-up view of the house. It's the old 1841 blacksmith's house that used to be in the historic Morristown district. It's a picture of a little cottage that was brought in for us to restore that will serve as kind of a ticket booth once the park is up and running in Morristown. But we picked it up on a truck and brought it in and put it behind our house and worked on it. And it's ready to be moved back out to be put on a masonry foundation. Once that's done, we'll go ahead and remove that little wooden chimney on the side there and build an actual brick chimney for it. And we'll go ahead and put the slate on the roof. We don't want to do that yet because it'll be kind of heavy. But that's an example of a project. This isn't quite what usually people think about when they think about us, but some alumni from the high school in Maysville called us and said that they had a panther that somebody had run into with a vehicle and wondered if we could restore it for them. So this is what it looked like when we started, and that was the panther after it was all completed and returned and sits proudly in front of Maysville High School again. These are some doors out of Wheeling, headquarters at Wheeling Landmarks, student working on them. The door on the left is before, and you can see the change to it afterwards after it's been refinished. We did not take all the details off. That's on the other side of the door when the picture was taken. These are some doors that were brought in from a historic site called Meadowcroft Village up in Avilia, Pennsylvania. Off a church before on the left, and the finished doors, we put them back together on the right. This is a little coal chute for the Wheeling Diocese that we did. Likewise, some little holy water containers. And it's an opportunity where the students had to practice their decorative finishing skills. We take about every other summer, every third summer, we often take students out to historic sites somewhere. This picture was taken. We rebuilt a chimney at a site south of Cincinnati in Kentucky called I can't even remember the name of it anymore. This whole family farmstead there that Teddy Roosevelt used to visit, and so we did that. We've done work up at Stan Hewitt Hall. We restored the glass skylight into the pool down there, and did some plaster repairs in the pool room for them. We've hosted conferences. This is the IPTW in 2005, the International Preservation Trades Workshop. Our keynote speaker was a gentleman named Roy Underhill. If you're familiar with PBS, you know him. We did some work on the governor's house in Columbus in 2006. We actually, in the dining room, we stripped down and refinished the wooden walls. That project. That was a week-long project. This last one we did was in Stratford Hall. It was the home of the Lee family in Virginia. Robert E. Lee was born there, but his two uncles had signed a Declaration of Independence. Had lived there. This is a spring house. They had two on the site, and this one was in a bad state of disrepair. Definitely needed a new roof. We repointed it. We put a new roof on it, and there's a picture of students working on it. And there's the finished project. Once again, another week-long project. Here's a project working on the library here for the city of St. Clairsville. We try to do some things locally, and we try to spread it around as best we can before everybody starts calling in saying they've got projects to do. We have some very, very strict rules about what we do and what we don't. We work only on properties that are nonprofits or government agency owned. The scope of the work has to be completable, usually within a week's period of time. We often discuss safety issues and insurance issues and things like that have to all be cleared before we'll take something on. So this is a situation where you had two fixed windows that on either side of the entry into the St. Clairsville Public Library that had badly deteriorated to the point where water was coming inside and causing paint to peel and stuff. And so we came in and did some epoxy consolidation work on those windows and took the time to kind of fix any broken putty work that was on there and really extended the life of the windows for them. This is at the 2011 PTN conference, a little bit of an alumni reunion. It's nice. We've been in business now 23 years, and our alumni are certainly spread all across the United States, working for a variety of different companies. Facility-wise, we're located in just outside of St. Clairsville, Ohio, Belmont College. Our building, and this seminar is not long enough to explain this, but our building is located on the campus of Ohio University, Eastern. And it's the old Science and Engineering building, it's called, and we're on the second floor, and we actually have some areas downstairs, about another 1,500 square feet downstairs. We have about 12,500 square feet of facilities, which makes us probably, I don't know if I can say this or not, but one of the largest, if not the largest, facility historic preservation program in the country. There's a picture of our building that we're in. We're not quite proud of it, but it is what it is. We're working on trying to get a historic building to house us, but you know how those things take sometimes. We have a extensive library that we've been building over 23 years, and it contains over 2,500 books dedicated to historic preservation. I just picked out the oldest one just to show you that they range, anywhere from modern books to some old ones that we do have. So if you ever do anything on tapia or Pice walls, feel free to, contact us, and we do have a book from 1839 on that. We have a large collection of magazines, probably dating back in large part to about the 70s, but we do have some special collection magazines. For example, we have the original issue of National Geographic when Williamsburg was open, stuff like that. Lots of videotapes, lots of DVDs, and we do document and keep all our student research papers and internship journals. So we have quite a collection of that. For example, in preservation history and theory class, we do ask students to do a personal interview with one of their older relatives, and so we keep those on the collection, and certainly all the National Register projects that students have done over the years and stuff, even though they haven't been sent on and obviously done to the level that needs to be to get them approved at the state level. We do have all that documentation in the library, and it's paid off. I think we've probably gotten a couple calls over the years of people wanting to know if we had those. They remember giving information to students and want to know if they had them. So it's been available. And one of the projects I'm currently working on my own time is for our History of American Architecture classes. We'd like to make them distance learning, and we're kind of going out on a limb on this one. And I've been traveling around the country probably the last 3 years taking videotape, high definition videotape of historic sites, historic buildings, and getting interviews off of the people that run them. And we probably have shot well over 100 hours of raw material, and probably have visited almost every major U.S. city and almost every major, what would be considered major historic building or site across the country. So my job over the next year and a half or 2 years is to put all that together into a usable distance learning class. We do still teach hand drafting. We feel, although CAD is kind of the way everybody's going, we still feel that the hand drafting is important. It is a skill in itself, and one of the things that we stress is that craftsmanship is something that invades every aspect of your life. When you take the time to do something right, whether it's in drafting, whether it's a report, or whether you're carving stone. Once you develop that mentality, once you develop that way of doing things, it transcends every aspect of your life. And so we use every opportunity we can to stress those beliefs, and certainly hand drafting is one of the ways to do that. And well, times are changing. There's many times when a contractor will still have to explain something to somebody out on the job site and write on a 2x4. And so it comes in handy. Students are expected to draw up on their projects, like if they're doing a medallion or if they're making a Victorian bracket or something like that. They're still required to go through the process of drawing it up first. The idea is to think through the project ultimately on paper, think it through in their head before they actually ever begin to construct something, so they don't waste materials. Here's a group of current students, just took this one the other day, working on some decorative finishes class, working on a variety of different decorative finishes. This is that was what we would call our clean lab. Didn't look like it, but we do stained glass in there in our painting classes. This is our current plaster lab. We're actually in the process of going to be moving this downstairs, and we're going to renovate this room, and it'll become our library. But we currently do model and mold making and plaster and ceramics in this lab. This is our wood shop. One of the things that probably if I'd say I'd like to change is it'd be nice to have another 1,000 square feet for the wood shop. It is rather tight in there, but we make the best that we can, and one of the things we try to do because of that is to keep class sizes, especially in the lab classes, very, very small. And so usually we usually operate our labs with between 6 and 10 students in them, at most 12. And usually just add extra sections of lab, and that way you get a tremendous amount of individual attention and really shown how to do things. And then a view of it. After graduation, question everybody asks, you know, in the end, it's about the job. What am I going to do when I get out of here? Some of our students go on to continue their education. I'd say probably out of every class that we have come through here, at least one, if not two, will go through. Anywhere from, you know, we've had students go on at Ursuline, at Roger Williams, list is on there. It was funny, I had a student from the first class that went through 23 years ago. I was eating breakfast on Sunday at Bob Evans, and this guy who I knew as an 18-year-old kid who is now 41 came in and introduced himself and recognized me. He was in town visiting some friends and family. He's a glass blower in Tennessee, and it's nice to find out ultimately what happened. But he went up to Akron, got an undergraduate degree in marketing, and then he got into glass blowing. And you know, the winds of life take you sometimes in different directions. We also have students that have done graduate degrees in historic preservation. They already come to us with an undergraduate degree. We have quite a relationship with Eastern Michigan. Frank Quinn, Heritage Ohio, went to Belmont and then went on to study his master's degree at Eastern Michigan. We've had some that have gone the other way. I've got a current student, Rebecca Torcell, who went to Eastern Michigan, got a graduate degree, and is now at Belmont. So, and will be in Australia come summer as she got a fellowship to study the effects of metal deterioration on maritime resources. So, but we've had, you know, students go to all those schools. Those were the ones that came to mind when I was thinking about it. So we've had quite a collection of graduates that have gone on. I forgot the University of Texas is on there and some others. Some going to government work that I know of, and I lose track of students over time, but that I know of currently we have at least students in 4 historic state preservation offices across the country, which is really saying something, I think, for a 2-year school. We do have a number of students that work for the National Park Service, especially the Preservation Training Division. In fact, the person in charge of the training in the Preservation Training Division is actually a graduate of our program. Right now, I think in that division, there's probably, I think, 7 or 8 of our graduates working. We actually even had one that worked for the Department of Defense. And just like we're doing this webinar, she's stationed at Aberdeen Training Grounds, but she lives in, I think, Phoenix now and travels back and forth. She went on and did her undergraduate at Roger Williams and got that position. We've had students working for local planning departments and code enforcement over time. Some examples of students working in the Park Service, in this case doing some water analysis, and Nathan's a local kid who's just loving it, working with the carpentry division. As far as private companies are concerned, that's one way you can go. Durable Slate has got one of our grads, or I've had a couple. Allegheny is a company out of Morgantown, but they've been so happy with the students out of our program that they only basically hire our students anymore. And they've actually opened a window shop in Neffs. So the governor will be pleased to know that we have added to the economy here, and that's probably staffed with 6 or 7 of our grads, with one of them being in charge. They're a full-service restoration company, one of the bigger ones actually in the tri-state area. You can get in the specialty side of things. Sometimes some people find that they like one thing really, really well. Part of going to Belmont is exploratory and trying to find out what your likes and dislikes are and where your skill level fits nicely. And so we've had students that have worked with examples of different companies on the right. Turner Restoration out of Detroit was a window restoration firm. Conrad Schmidt is a big decorative finish stained glass firm out of I think they're in Wisconsin. Albert Michaels is a Pennsylvania decorative painting firm. Price Masonry was a masonry firm out of Virginia. that does historic preservation. They've now produced lime mortars. And Albert Paley is probably our generation's greatest metal sculptor. And he's hired one of our students, worked for him for many years, and I just had another one came back the other day and told me that he was offered a job by them. So, example, one of our students working for Price. This is Matt Lohmeyer putting a Pargin coat on the columns at Montpelier. Someone don't want to travel so much, and they want to kind of settle down, and so historic house museums are often nice fits to get a wide variety of doing different things, but doing it in one place. And so, at one point in time, we've had students work at all of these, and are just once again some of the ones that I could think of off the top of my head as I was putting this presentation together. And likewise with the outdoor museums, same thing. Just once again, there's some pictures of those. That's Phil Mark. He's head in charge of the preservation side, and that's a picture of Stratford Hall in Virginia. Phil's a perfect example of somebody who came to Belmont, already had an undergraduate degree in history. He came to Belmont. He left here, worked for a blacksmith in Michigan for about a year or two, and then took a job at Mount Vernon. He worked at Mount Vernon for a couple of years, and then he became head of the preservation side at Stratford Hall. So an example of how you can work your way into that type of position. So I guess now is the time for questions. And Devin's going to walk in here and help me here.
Thank you, Dave. While we're waiting for you guys to submit any questions you have, I just want to make a couple announcements. First of all, thank you, Dave, and Belmont College today for agreeing to do this. This is a great way to get these programs out to people so people know they have some different options in the state to learn about preservation skills. Also, just wanted to let you guys know there are two more colleges we're premiering this week during College Week. Ursuline College in Cleveland, that'll be Thursday morning at 10 a.m., and Youngstown State University, that'll be at 2 p.m. on Thursday this week. And we have one webinar coming up on May 2nd at 1 p.m. That webinar will be over land banking, so if you want to attend our regular scheduled webinars, the next one is May 2nd at 1 p.m., and you can find more information shortly on our website when we post that this week. Let me bring up the questions here. Drag them out. All right, let's get things started. Alyssa has a question on if we don't intend to attain a degree, is it possible to take a class here and there without taking all the prerequisite classes?
Yes, the answer to that is a definite yes. Usually the college allows you, and this on the quarter system, you were allowed to take up to 12 hours without necessarily taking the prerequisites, as long as the instructor allowed you to go ahead and do that. We do have students that will come in and just want to take the stained glass class, or just want to take a wood class or something like that. So most definitely we'd be glad to work with you on that. And I guarantee you, once you've done one, you'll get hooked.
Thanks, Dave. We have a couple other questions. Is there an application deadline for any of the programs, or can I walk in a couple days beforehand and sign up?
Yeah, that you can. I mean, that's the beauty of where we're at as far as a two-year school. We've got open enrollment, and students. We do literally have students signing up the first week of classes. I would suggest, though, that if you had intentions of signing up, to make sure that you get into the courses that you want when you want to try to do that a little bit earlier, because things do close. You'll never be denied admission to Belmont, but you may not get into exactly what you want if you wait till the last minute.
And another question is, are there any scholarships available through the program or through the university?
Yes, we have a local, he's not a stone contractor, he's a local contractor that does stone countertops and things. He's given money to the college, and we're able to give to $500 scholarships a year specifically for the building preservation program. And we do have other donors that are giving money on a regular basis to the program that as we collect enough to give a scholarship, we will. We are a state institution, so all standard financial aid types of things apply to us, and all our courses are, of course, transferable if you decided to go on for a different degree.
And does Belmont College work with community college students at other community colleges or adults returning to college to help them adjust into the programs like this?
Yeah, we do, and I mean, given how we're located, what you'll find is our classes, as a class comes in, they kind of do a lot of the stuff together, and it's a very close class, and we do have a wide range of age and skill level, and they learn real quick to kind of depend on each other, and so from that standpoint, they become very, very, very close. I think you'll find that the one-on-one that you get at Belmont is going to be unlike anything that you probably ever had at an undergraduate degree. It really is more like a graduate program from that standpoint. And we've made a conscious effort to do that. And so, we're in contact with our students on a daily basis, not just in class, but, when we're sitting around eating lunch and just, as I'm got some free time in the afternoon and I'm roaming through the studios and we talk about projects and we interact on a regular basis. And I do help. I mean, I sit down and, give career advice. You become a little psychologist and, and you give career advice to students who may not find that this is what they ultimately want to do. And we've had students go on and get degrees in architecture and some other areas, for that. So we try to help any way we can. We certainly work on transferring credits in. We tend to take a very liberal approach to it. I was a student once, and I have not forgotten that, and I try to remember that every time we interact.
Frank's asking a question. How do your prices to attend compare to a typical four-year college or to another community college?
Well, I think we're very competitive from that standpoint. I think you'll find that obviously prices at two-year schools are going to be far less usually than the price at a four-year school. I would say, I think if you looked in Ohio at the two-year schools, I think tuition-wise we probably fall right in the middle of the pack somewhere. Certainly compared to other trade schools that are out there that are teaching historic preservation, we're very, very competitive. And for a four-year school, you pay half to get your degree, in the same two-year period of time than you would as a freshman or sophomore at any of the major universities. And the cost of living in the St.Clairsville area is relatively inexpensive. I mean, that's the beauty of living. We're a rural campus and in a rural environment, and because of that, rentals are relatively inexpensive, and the cost of living around here is relatively inexpensive.
And going off of that, St. Clairsville, since it'll be the closest community people can choose to live in if they're not from the area, can you describe St. Clairsville to people and what it offers? And
well, St. Clairsville's a town of about 5,000 people. So if you're coming from Cleveland or Cincinnati, it's going to be culture shock. But it's a nice little community. It's a community where you can leave your doors open at night. You don't have to lock your car doors everywhere you go. It's a walkable community. The mayor and the city service director are rabid preservationists, and that's done a lot ultimately for the community. You'll find it to be a nice little downtown which to experience. We're located about 2 or 3 miles outside of town. Given the rural environment of St. Clairsville, it's definitely a college that you want to attend with a vehicle. This is not a place where you can walk everywhere. Certainly in St. Clairsville, you can walk wherever you want to get, but to the college, you're going to have to drive. And a lot of the landlords, a lot of the building owners in St. Clairsville and downtown have renovated second-floor apartments and stuff, and that's where a lot of our students ultimately stay. when they attend here. And they like our students because our students are different than most students because they fix stuff. You know, they like to practice what they've been learning in class. And so they're constantly calling us saying, hey, you got any more of those students? You know, we really want them. So
that sounds great. And one last question going on projects. Do you have any projects coming up that you could share with people, or have you guys not decided those yet?
Well, yeah, I haven't. You know, it's like I said, it's been crazy around here because of the transition to semesters, and because of that, we got a very, very short summer this year. You know, normally, you know, we would finish summer quarter would start in the beginning of June, usually the third week in June, and we go till to the end of the first week in September. Well, now we're going to the end of the first week in August, and so we've got a really compact, short summer to work with, and it's taken a lot of time and effort to kind of get ready for that transition. We've been doing an ongoing project working with Belmont County. The county behind the courthouse and jail purchased the old United Methodist Church, and they're using it as a senior center, and we've had an ongoing project working with them on restoring some windows in that building, and we continue to do so. I was talking to the students the other day about possibly doing something on the sheriff's residence, which is being restored, and possibly making a stained glass window or something for that. But no, I really haven't thought out. We've got a couple little projects that we've got to clean up. We've got to reinstall some windows and doors at a one-room schoolhouse up in Pleasant Hill, north of Steubenville. So we'll probably be doing that, and we'll see what else the wind blows in over the next 2 months or so, because that's usually when the projects come rolling in.
Thanks, Dave. And as to the question a couple people have asked about, will the slides be available? Yes, they will. This is also being recorded, so you can share this video with anyone else. It'll be posted this week on our website, and I'll be emailing everyone to let them know when that's up. And just we'd like to thank Dave and Belmont College again for doing this today. I encourage all of you to visit the college when you have a chance. It's a very beautiful area in southeastern Ohio, and definitely check out the programs. It's a great program that is very unique in Ohio and has a lot to offer you. And just like to thank you all for attending today. Thank you, and see you later.